In this video, we are going to look at naming covalent compounds. Remember that covalent compounds are made up of two non-metals. So the way that you're going to recognize to use this type of naming is that you have two non-metals. The non-metals can form a wide range of compounds using the same two elements. For example, nitrogen and oxygen can combine together to form NO, or N2O, or NO2. Now they're all made of nitrogen and oxygen, meaning that we can't call them all nitrogen oxide because it doesn't distinguish which one we're talking about. Because of this, we use Greek prefixes to name covalent compounds. So you should know the Greek prefixes all the way up to 10, although pretty typically we don't use much more than 6. So 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 tri, 4 tetra, 5 penta, 6 hexa, 7 hepta, 8 octa, 9 nona, and 10 deca. The steps that you're going to follow when naming a covalent compound is you're going to look at the first element in the formula and determine the number of atoms. If it's greater than 1, use the corresponding Greek prefix. If it's just 1, then just use the element name. No need to use mono here. So no to mono. Look at the second element then in the formula and determine the number of atoms for it. And we're going to use the corresponding Greek prefix in front of the element name, adding IDE to the end of the name. If there is one of just one of the second element, we do use mono. So mono gets a check mark here. We've got 3 examples then, N2O. So for this one, we are going to call it dinitrogen, because our formula is telling us there's 2 nitrogen and there's 1 oxygen, so monoxide. So dinitrogen monoxide. In our second example, CF4, there's only 1 carbon. We don't need to put mono in front of it because it is our first element. And then we have 4 fluorines, so it's going to become tetrafluoride. Now finally, our last example, P2O3. We've got 2 phosphoruses, so that's diphosphorus. And 3 oxygens, meaning trioxide. Now what you might notice is these 2 compounds here, the nitrogen and phosphorus, do show up in our multivalent ionic compounds table. So knowing that they can form either a +3 or +5 valence. So you can, in fact, also name these with Roman numerals. For example, this one here, because phosphorus is the +3 valence, it could also be called phosphorus 3 oxide. And so this is based on that IUPAC system of naming. And really this type of naming is more correct, but for this course, and if you take grade 12 chemistry as well, you are totally okay with naming them as Greek prefixes. So I will let you choose either or. If you're comfortable with Greek prefixes, just stick with that. One other note, if you have just one element, so say you had just I2 or you had just H2, they are covalent compounds, but we do, in terms of writing out their formula, need to make sure we recognize whether they're just a single atom or whether they are diatomic, which means that they form a bond with themselves. There are 7 elements that do this: iodine, bromine, chlorine, fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen. So all 7 of these are diatomic, meaning that if I asked you for a formula for oxygen, you would write O2 and not just O. But if I asked for phosphorus, it would be just P, because phosphorus doesn't show up on this list. So you can remember this list from the sentence, I bring chlorine for our new hot tub. And so the beginning letter of each of that sentence, each word in that sentence, tells you what each of the 7 elements are.